Welcome back to part 2 of the B-List covers the original Saved by the Bell's worst episodes. If you enjoy our videos and podcasts, make sure you subscribe and follow us and turn on those notifications so you never miss an episode. Well, speaking of Zac getting around, my next episode that I would like to speak about is on Netflix. It's season 3, episode 13, called From Nurse to Worse. And it starts out Zac and Kelly coming home from a great date. And the movie they saw was Ernest Goes to Jail.
Nothing says hot date.
Like
Ernest Goes to Jail.
Ernest P. Worrell. So as he drops her off at the door, he asks Kelly, would you want to go steady with me? And she's like, oh, I don't know, Zac. That's a big decision. Can I think about it? That's a commitment, man. I gotta think about this. So she tells him that she'll have an answer for him soon, and she's gonna go sleep on it. So she goes and sleep on it, and the next day they go to school, and he's getting everything out of his locker whenever the new school nurse,
the school nurse, who is an adult,
comes up and asks for directions, and he falls head over heels.
She was a smoke show.
She was a smoke show. Yeah, absolutely. She was, but still, she's probably got to be at least mid-20s. Or
the nurses at my school did not look like that.
No. Well, and they also have another nurse that she's replacing.
Yeah.
That is, the stereotypical old school mom. Yeah. So anyway, so he falls head over heels for this new nurse, and they go to class, and he just keeps thinking about this nurse. And they go to class and start reading like some self-written poetry. And let's see.
Which I'm sure is great.
Well, yeah. Screech's is about his pet spider.
Yeah.
Lisa's is about shopping. But Kelly says a really sweet poem about Zac. It's very flattering. But the whole time she's reciting it, he's fantasizing that it's the nurse reciting it to him.
Zac Morris is a garbage human.
Also, this week at school is the school physicals, where they're all having to go one by one to the nurse's office to get checked for God knows what.
Gonorrhea.
But yeah, making sure those STDs stay out of Bayside High. But no, they get called, one by one for their physicals and everything. And in this physical, they're giving out flu shots. When do they give vaccinations in school? I know that they certainly weren't at this time. And I think that they did. My mom was talking about, had talked about, I think it was smallpox maybe that they were
like
still
50s and the 60s.
Whenever they were in early 70s maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, could you imagine like I remember the crap storm that...
Some of the last vaccines that I got, like for middle school or whatever it was that I had to have, I believe I got them at North Hills Mall in Richland Hills, Texas. Richland Hills, Texas. And they just had like a little thing, like a thing set up. Kind of like how they do COVID shots now. And you just like went and paid like the
We always went just to the health department satellite over in Lake Worth.
We never had...
Or my doctor would give them to me.
We didn't have insurance or anything, so we just had to go and get them where we could. It was like you went to the mall. So like I got like a pretzel, and my mom, you get this shot.
Which would have been way cooler
for
these guys to go to the mall.
Get this shot, and then you can go to Mervin's.
Right. JC Penney.
Go to the JC Penney's.
So he goes and gets his shot, and Kelly's like, I've got your answer. And he's like, whatever, Kelly, and blows her off.
Yeah.
Like the
That's
day
cool.
after.
Never mind,
because, they were so will they, won't they. And she goes to Jesse and Lisa, and she's like, what the heck? He asked me out yesterday, and now he's being totally cold. And so Jesse's like, oh, I'll talk to him. So she goes, and remember Jesse always crawled in his window?
Yeah, they crawled in each other's windows.
Yeah, all the time, because I would hope that they live like next to each other. Do they ever address that, or do they just crawl in each other's windows?
I think they were neighbors, and it's so weird because like sometimes he'll talk about like, like Screech, we've been friends since we were like 8 years old, or Jesse, remember we were friends since we were 8 years old, and yet somehow she wasn't on Miss Bliss.
No, she
Lisa apparently they've been friends for forever. Like, were you just like...
Lisa, they were ironing out the casting, okay?
Right, whatever.
But anyway, so Jessie crawls in and she talks to him, and he tells her that he's in love with the school nurse, and then has one of his classic fantasies that he's going out with both Kelly and the nurse at the same time, like a girl on both arms. And so he goes to get hit on the nurse the next day, and when she leaves the room to go grab her thermometer, Slater comes in, and but he doesn't notice it's Slater because he's behind a curtain. He's like, "Is that you?" And then Slater's like, "Yeah, it's me." And so he starts confessing all of his love for the nurse, and then Slater's now Slater knows.
Yep.
So Jesse and Slater know, and he in order to make Slater keep his secret, Slater makes him take his flu shot for him, so he's double vaxxed. And then it never comes up again. Zac tells Kelly that, well, no, maybe I made a mistake and we need to see other people. And Kelly's like, what's up with that? You're so hot and cold. What's going on? And so he goes to Screech and is like, okay, Screech, I need you to find a hold guy for me that she can date that she's not super interested in, but somebody that and he's like, I know a perfect guy from chess club, and his name is Melvin Nerdley, and so I'll get them.
When you
up.
name your child Melvin Nerdley,
you're expecting them to be on the.
You're
chess
pigeonholing
team.
them and not giving them any chance to be anything else.
So I guess off screen they get set up.
Okay.
And Slater and Jesse and Lisa are like, I can't believe that Zac's treating Kelly like this. So what are we going to do? We're going to go to the nurse and tell the nurse everything that's going on and how Zac is treating Kelly just because he's in love with her, with the nurse. And so the nurse is appalled. I can't believe that Zac Morris, who I met briefly
5 seconds ago,
is treating his girlfriend like this. So I'm on it. So later Zac comes in to hit on her. And she starts laying it on thick, starts laying it on him like, I can't stop thinking about you, and we need to run away and get married and have a ton of kids.
I feel like this isn't the best way to deal with the situation if you're an adult and a teenager has a crush on you.
But she knows what she's doing because she mentions that her husband is a professional wrestler and he works with Hulk Hogan.
Oh.
And that he's got a violent temper. And it totally...
They pull these random, names out of their asses, on one episode later on, I'll talk about an episode, and they mention a MC Hammer concert quite a bit.
Well,
for a fact these white children are for sure not listening to MC Hammer.
Right.
They had to pick the most white friendly rapper ever, other than
Vanilla Ice.
Other than Vanilla Ice.
Well, she scares Zac off. Zac doesn't want to deal with an angry husband who works with Hulk Hogan.
Obviously, he works with Hulk Hogan.
So the plan works. But it's too late.
Mm.
Kelly hit it off with Melvin Nerdley, who is actually a stud.
Melvin Nerdley.
And she's moved on.
Yep.
Bye-bye, Zac.
Bye, Zac.
The end.
Snooze, you lose, you stupid idiot.
Stupid idiot.
Which really, I'm sure he's probably not that upset about it because he's just going to move on to another girl in the next episode anyways.
In the next episode, or, later, Kelly and him will get back together because even whenever they went beyond, into the college years and everything, it was still Zac and Kelly.
They're still back and forth. Mm-hmm. It's a toxic relationship.
It's horrible.
He doesn't want you, girl.
But those high school relationships are the most meaningful ones in your life.
Talking about toxic relationships, we're going to talk about The Last Dance.
Ooh.
Which is season 2 episode.
The Last Dance was season 4, episode 4.
Season 4,
I believe, on Netflix.
Okay, the Bayside costume ball's coming up, and Zac is very excited. He wants Kelly to be his queen because he knows he's going to be king.
Mm-hmm. He's the popular guy. Screw Slater. I mean, he's only on all the sports teams. Yeah. What does Zac do? He's on all the sports teams. Slater does it all. He's running Zac. We've established this.
He was only a runner in 2 episodes. I never saw him at a track meet ever. Mm-hmm. They kept seeing one. I never saw him. Anyways, tangent. They're going to go. He has decided they are going as Romeo and Juliet. Mm-hmm. And Slater and Jesse are going as the most famous lovers ever, Cleopatra and Mark Antony.
Mm-hmm. Which was also a toxic relationship.
A toxic relationship. Whatever. The next scene we see Kelly tells him, like, I have to get a job because, like, I have to be able to afford to go to the dance.
Mm-hmm.
That is the premise for her getting a job.
Mm-hmm.
Later on, you see her applying for the job at the Max, obviously, because where else is she going to work?
Mm-hmm.
And she's being interviewed by the manager named Jeff. Jeff is...
He's a dreamboat.
He is a hot piece of ass.
Mm-hmm. Older man.
He's a sophomore at UCLA. Mm-hmm. So how old did that make him? Like 21, 22? He's 30 if he's anything.
Yeah.
Everyone was old.
Oh, all of them. Especially the guest star. Not guest stars, but the extras for
the extra dudes were always
the
older.
extra dudes were always way older.
He hires her on a probationary period because she says she's really good at serving. She has no background in
no work experience at all.
But she has 6 brothers and sisters. So obviously
she's qualified.
Set a table before, so she's able to do this. The next you hear Belding making a announcement on the announcements saying that a very off-color transphobic joke about how if the boys are going to dress as girls, they still have to use the boys' room. None of your shenanigans.
You need to fast forward 25 years and we'll have a discussion about
Belding's going to be fired. I said, all of a sudden, this Urkel kid with the deep voice is talking. What is he doing? Why do we not know his name? Where is he from? He's in a lot of episodes.
He pops up here and there.
I don't
even know his name.
I don't know his name either. Cut to Kelly being tortured by a couple of neo-Nazi skinheads at a table while she's trying to serve them. And they're like, this sandwich is wrong. We need a new sandwich. And I can't really place where their accents are coming from. It's like they're from New York, but they're in California. They're wearing all black. The guy's bald. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it. The girl's got a pixie cut, which is like not cool back then. Then Jeff comes over and saves Kelly, slams the sandwich in the woman's hand and tells her it's to go.
Tells her to leave.
And then he hits on her and tells her she looks pretty good to him. And everyone, woo! Zac comes to Kelly's house wearing a weird floppy hat from like Romeo and Juliet times. And he's like, doth thou the dance go with me? Or whatever. And pulls out, he's bought her a dress so she can be, and so you can come to the dance.
I hate when guys buy clothes for me. I hate it.
But worst. Still, they're never
the
right size.
Go on.
Okay. And then she's like, Zac, I can't go to dance with you because I have to work. And I'm like, what?
Wait a second.
Time out.
Let's freeze it like Zac did.
Zac Morris style. Time out. She got the job so she could go to the dance, and now she's got the dress and somehow still has to work. Whatever. Okay. So Zac pouts, and I understand. And the next scene is they're practicing because Zac Attack's going to play at the dance.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So they're practicing.
Because, by the way, they're in a band, too.
Lip syncing terribly.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, Zac ruins the song with his shitty guitar playing. And he's bummed out and decides to ask Jeff to give Kelly the night off. So he tells Jeff that Kelly really needs the day off because her dad was really sick and it's his birthday. And she's an only child. And he said, that's funny because she told me she's got 6 brothers and sisters.
Oh, man, he's on to
And he's
Zac.
like, just tell me what's up, man. And he's like, I just really wanted to go to the dance with me. And he said, why didn't you say so?
Of course. Yeah.
And then cut to the end of the shift. At the Max, Jeff tells Kelly, you can go to the dance. Don't worry about it. You know, like you're perfect and gorgeous. And he's like sitting on the table and talking to her.
You're in high school, but
then he kisses her. You can go to the dance with your boyfriend, but also make out. Yeah. And I say, how old is this guy? 30? Okay, the next scene, Jeff is wearing a fitting Cosby sweater because he's too old to be dating her. It's definitely a Cosby sweater.
It's a Cosby sweater.
Kelly's like trying to serve these guys at the Max, like serve her friends, and they're like, sit down, Kelly, like have a seat or whatever. And she's like, Zac, I'm at work, like I can't really like. And he pulls her down to sit next. He's like got his arm around her, and she's like, oh, Zac, like off me, I'm at work. And she's being real weird about it. And then he starts to worry. And cut to, he tells the guys, like, I think Kelly might like someone else. And they're like, who else? Slater says, who else would she like? I'm the only other cute guy here.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you know, fool yourselves. Cut to the dance. Screech came dressed as a chicken. That's his costume.
Cool.
And Lisa is a flapper girl. And of course we got Cleopatra and Mark Anthony, and he's Romeo, and they're singing whatever, a horrible song, and I was like, the lyrics to this song are "Make my day, you make me crazy in a good way,"
in the very best way possible.
And the best.
And I mean it.
Kelly's like standing off to the side, like real sad. Apparently, she's not in the band, which is weird because just
she's in the band later.
A few episodes ago, she was in a girl group, and then later on, she's in a band. They just didn't want her there, and she's acting super weird because she really wants Jeff.
Oh.
Zac and Kelly are named king and queen of the dance, and she says, "Thanks, Jeff." In a very I Ross take thee Rachel, like from Friends moment where you mix up the names.
Calling out someone other name in bed.
They put the crowns on him, and he's like, "Hey Kelly, can we like talk after this?" And so they go outside to talk. And the last dance, they get the weird black kid with the really deep voice to be the drummer. Because now
he's in the band.
Slater's got to sing.
Well, yeah.
And he can't sing and play drums for whatever reason.
I don't know.
So he comes to sing.
Lots of people did that.
And he sings the "How am I supposed to live without you?" Who is that? It was Michael Bolton.
Yeah, that was Michael Bolton.
The Michaal Bolton song. They're covering Michael Bolton at their school dance. And in my notes, I say the lip syncing is ... still not great. Like, why did we like this show? I don't understand. So Kelly tells Zac that she really likes Jeff, and then she bursts into a crazy amount of tears. It wasn't supposed to be this way.
It wasn't.
I keep in my notes saying, "You are 16.
You are 16.
Good Lord, you are teenagers.
You are going after somebody who literally is almost old enough to be your dad.
Almost old enough to be your dad." And Zac, and he's a good sport about it. He tells her he'll always care about her, and I'm really gonna miss you. Like,
but they still go to school together.
They're still gonna go to school together.
They still
literally see each other the next day.
Yeah.
And then they hug, and she says, "Can we still be friends?" And he says, "Forever."
Well, I'm going to piggyback off of that one because everybody knows that Friends Forever was the hit song that Zac Attack
Let's hear it.
Performed. All right, we're going to go all the way up to season 5, episode 2. And this one was called Rockumentary. And in this one, Zac Attack. Well, let me even go further a little bit. Casey Kasem guest stars. And
I think that's probably the biggest name guest star on that show.
That probably is the biggest name, and I don't think that a lot of the young ones would
Brandon
know
Tartikoff.
Except Brandon Tartikoff. But no, Casey Kasem. Now he passed away a number of years ago. Also, he had his little show back in the day, but he also was the voice of Shaggy in the cartoons. So,
yeah, he was very
so for
famous.
anybody who doesn't know who Casey Kasem was, he was kind of R.I.P. He was kind of a big deal for sure, for a while anyway. So he starts out introducing Zac Attack. Now this is a documentary style episode where Zac Attack just happened to be at this point in time the most famous, fantabulous, talented band that ever was. And
obviously.
And so we have to start from the beginning in this documentary. You see, one day the gang was practicing what would become their most well-known hit, Friends Forever. Friends Forever till the end of time.
I remember watching that episode and just that song slaps. Just singing it all the time in the shower, singing it with my friends.
Yeah,
that song was
And then we were talking
about. Can I get the tape?
Everybody was everybody was like being in a band was a real big deal at that time. Now it probably still is a little bit. I don't really watch a lot of preteen comedies anymore, but this was about the same time that they had that California Dreaming show where it was about a band and everything.
Kids band, yeah.
So, well, anyway, so they're practicing their song Friends Forever. And you know how much the world loves songs about friends. I mean, Dionne Warwick had probably the best one, along with who else was in that song? Stevie Wonder and Elton John. Great song, Friends. That's what friends are for.
That's what friends are for.
But Friends Forever, while they're practicing this, a profound music producer named Brian Fate
He's English, right? Isn't he like English or
I
Australian? Or
I
something? He
can't
has an
remember,
accent or
something like
something, I
that.
think.
But the line that Casey Kasem says is, "Little did they know that fate was about to pass them by," or something like that.
It's very Keith Morrison.
And he comes in, yeah.
And if this episode was narrated by Keith Morrison, that would be amazing. Mm-hmm. That would be like, it'd be like a Dateline episode.
So Brian Fate, he stops in and says, "Hey, I was just jogging by and I'm looking for a new band to represent, and you guys have that sound.
You guys are it."
And so he starts putting them in clubs, and there's a little montage where they're in a little club.
And again, where are their parents?
Where are their parents? Their parents are never around.
They're on tour. They're traveling the world.
They're playing clubs. They get into bigger clubs.
All right.
And they, even Screech has his groupies. They're like all over him.
Which suspends the idea of reality. Like, there's no way someone like Screech.
Right.
Bless Dustin Diamond's poor little heart.
Mm-hmm.
He looked like an elbow with an afro.
He
was not an attractive looking
Now, for you guys that don't know, Screech was played by Dustin Diamond, and we lost him to cancer, I believe, last year.
Yeah,
was it this year?
Last year, yeah.
Very recently. And that was really sad. I really was sad to hear about that.
It was sad, yeah.
And even though I won't go into it, but he got himself into a little bit of trouble with...
He's been back and forth in some trouble. But it's just like, oh man, like, I'm old enough to where, like, celebrities that I watched as kids are passing away. Like,
yeah. That means we're all gonna die.
We're all gonna die.
All one of these days.
The thoughts that keep me up at night.
Well, eventually they record their first hit album, and they start doing a press circuit.
Off one song.
And they're just really laying on the friends forever aspect of their group. We've been friends forever. We know each other for so long. And they start winning awards, of course. And the fame starts going to Zac's head, of course, because he's an egomaniacal.
Because he's a narcissist.
Because he's trash.
Yeah.
And I guess that he starts dating his publicist, who kind of just pops into the scene all of a sudden. Her name's Mindy.
The
Yoko. And she starts telling him, "You're the best one. You know, you need to."
P.S. She is an adult.
P.S. Again, they are getting.
He is a child.
Right. So, once they start dating, they start writing music together. Mindy and Zac does, because that's what you do. And it's not as good. And they start pushing the other members of them of them out. Now, like we mentioned before, in the other episode that we just talked about, Last Dance, that we just talked about, Jessie was in the band, but Jessie was not in this episode. And come to find out, she had suffered a leg injury or a knee injury, so she had to sit this out, and that's why they plugged Kelly in for her spot. So
it never explained those things, and so when stuff like that would happen, or like later on when like Tori would become like a member, or like,
it wasn't Jessie that suffered the leg injury. It was obviously the actress.
Well,
Elizabeth
yeah, but
Berkley.
they would never
say anything about it. You just noticed that they weren't there for that.
They weren't there for that episode, and then you just think about it like 20 years later, like, wait a minute,
wait a second. So yeah, so as the members leave the band finally breaks up, which is funny because I do have to say that Screech, what really starts to drive the band apart is Screech gives this tell-all interview about all the strife that they're having.
Yeah.
And then come to find out in real life, Screech got in trouble. Yeah, he got in trouble with some of the members of the cast because he wrote a tell-all book before he passed away about all of it too. So foreboding.
And he was like the youngest, right? Like the youngest of the cast.
He was a couple of years younger than the rest of them.
Because I remember watching like Miss Bliss's class or whatever, or even like the very first season of Saved by the Bell, and he's so tiny.
He's so little.
And it didn't help that they put him in clothes that were like 9 times bigger than
too big for him.
I was joking with my boyfriend about how they, like, his clothes were always so big, and he's like, look at that shirt, like, it looks like he's wearing like a 4X. And I was like, well, obviously his clothes were handed down. Screech has an older brother. And he's like, oh yeah, what was his name? And I said, Scorch. Screech and Scorch.
Scorch. Oh my god. So anyway, so the band breaks up. Okay, every tell-all interview just breaks them up. Kelly goes off to be an actress. Lisa becomes a U.S. gladiator. She comes in.
Yeah, she's all muscling like the American Gladiator stuff, yeah.
Yeah. Slater becomes a stunt daredevil. And in the meantime, Zac goes off on his solo career, and he looks completely like Vanilla Ice in this episode. Like
he really does.
He looked just like him. Got the clothes, got his hair standing up and everything.
Yeah.
It looked just like Vanilla Ice.
Yeah.
But then Daredevil Slater has an accident that puts him in the hospital, and Zac has to go to his side immediately. And
you realize
Mindy,
that you really are friends forever.
Yeah. Mindy is like, no, you're not going anywhere, or this is over. Like, no one would understand that, like, someone close to you has been in a bad accident, and like,
and if you are the next Vanilla Ice, you can take a day off.
You can take a day off. You can reschedule that show, and they'll still come and see you. But anyway, so they all get to the hospital at the same time. They reunite, and they start talking about, we really had good times together. And so they reconcile within like 30 seconds of seeing each other.
Yep.
And they get the band back together.
Let's get the band back together.
Got the band back together. And you know what? They perform Friends Forever once again. But wait, twist. None of this really happened. Zac wakes up from a dream. He had fallen asleep in the same garage that Zac Attack practices in. He fell asleep, and they walk in, and it was just another one of his stupid fever dreams. And it never happened. The end. Yep. I keep saying the end because they were always ending so abruptly. So I just go, the end. That's how that one ended.
And that's how that one ended.
And cut.
And cut. On to the next one.
Scene.
Okay, well, my final episode is a two-parter, a special two-parter called Wicked Stepbrother.
Wicked Stepbrother. I think that one is season 4, episode 10 and 11 on
season
Netflix.
4, episode 10 and 11 on Netflix. Zac's at the max, he breaks the fourth wall, talking to the camera about sports ball playoffs and how he really needs to find a way to get to this Dodgers game. He plans on skipping school, and he's got to find, like, his special way of, like, he's got to get to this game. It's very important. His dad gave him tickets. And
he does have a dad. Okay.
Who's rich and just gives him sports tickets. Skip school. I don't give a shit. And then cut to Jesse's mom apparently got married. She just got back from Hawaii or Vegas or wherever the hell. Jesse's mom, who we never meet.
I don't remember. We may have gotten like a little glimpse of their parents, but hardly ever.
I think we see her dad later on in like the Hawaii episodes because her dad's getting married. Okay. This is her mom is getting remarried. Okay. And they're all talking about, Lisa and Kelly are excited because they're like, your stepbrother, you were excited to meet your stepbrother, you know, like, what's he like? And she's like, I don't know, I really didn't talk to him at the wedding. So
you haven't introduced your families?
You've never gotten the kids together to see if things work out. You've never introduced, like...
That's weird.
Red flags.
Okay.
Red flags, Jesse's mom.
Okay.
Apparently she doesn't know anything. He's just from New York. She doesn't know anything about him, really.
Okay.
And Kelly and Lisa have cookies for him. They're very excited to give him cookies. Because that's what every teenage boy wants. He comes in. He looks very much like an Andrew Dice Clay knockoff.
Yeah, he does.
Hey.
He's
talking like Fonzie meets Tony Danza meets Danny Zuko from Grease.
Yeah.
And immediately hits on Lisa.
Of course.
Immediately wants Lisa for some reason.
Yeah.
Not that she's not gorgeous, but
he's
pulling on her and saying, let's go make nice in the sand.
Let's go make nice in the sand. That's the grossest.
Creepy and grossest
thing.
You were just asking this teenage girl if she wants to go make fudge in the sand with you?
No. Gross, man.
Ew.
Of course, she's appalled, right?
They're like, Kelly immediately hightails it out there. She's like, I gotta go by. She's not having any of it. She leaves. Lisa leaves. And Jesse's like, let me show you your room. He throws his things down and is like, this one will be fine. Creep. Immediately, there would be a fight. You have a sibling. I have a sibling. Immediately, you would be like, Mom!
Exactly.
New stepdad.
Can you talk to your son?
Your kid's being a douche and trying to take my room?
But again, they don't have parents, really.
Cut to the next day at school. He and Zac are having a pissing contest to see who's the top dog as far as pranks go. I'm the best prankster. No, I'm the best prankster. We'll see. He stole Jesse's journal and is like being Harvey Weinstein level of gross about pursuing Lisa. He keeps chasing her around the classroom. We can go out with me. Let's get married. Come on, let's go out.
Creepy.
Touching her and like, what are you doing with your hands, dude? Gross. The teacher tells the whole class, hey class, I'm Jewish and I'm off for Rosh Hashanah tomorrow, so I need a hand everyone raise your hands and let me see how many Jewish kids are out there, because you can also be excused from class.
Yeah.
Zac immediately is like putting two together. I am Jewish. And I was like, thus my second episode about cultural appropriation. And so Zac gets to go to the game because now he's Jewish for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Suddenly Eric is in Jesse's room and he and Screech are watching sports, a previously recorded game, and eating potato chips in Jesse's bed.
Which is just rude.
And why is he hanging out with Screech all of a sudden? Is Screech just like
the
only
one?
one?
Screech is the one that he's like,
Screech
hey,
is just so nice, he'll hang out with anyone, I guess. And, you know, she comes in a towel and she's like, get out here, like, this is my room. And, you know, then she takes her stuff and leaves or whatever. And Screech lets it slip that, like, Zac's at this game. Like, if you'll watch, he's right there. Hey, we're coming up on the part where you can see Zac. He caught the ball.
Zac catches the ball.
So immediately he uses that for bribery with Zac. He wants, like,
blackmail.
Zac's locker and 10 lunches and $50 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And he's going to do it. And then he gets Jesse's room because he bribes Slater, because apparently he put a recording device under her bed where she's canoodling with Slater because that's her beau.
Sit closer.
And
of course it's like totally G-rated.
Yes, it's like, you're my Curly Conan is what she keeps calling him. I say bribing her because he makes an illegal recording of Jesse making out with Slater, maybe boning, I don't know. Tries to bribe Slater into using his car for his big date he has gonna force Lisa on.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so they're gonna turn it around on him because they're using Mr. Belling's convertible, because Mr. Belling wants a new CD player put in his car, and rather than get someone to do that
professionally,
he hires a teenage child to put this in for me. And
the ones that are always, you know, kind of in trouble.
And Slater tries to get out of it. He's like, I don't know, Mr. B, with all like my sports balls, I don't know if I have time for this. And then Zac's like, hey, you've got time for this. We're gonna use this vehicle to, like, you know, get Eric in trouble. So instead of loaning out Slater's car, they loan out Mr. Belding's car.
Oh, boy.
And we're going to take pictures of him and get him caught, and he's going to be in trouble. And then we can get all of our tapes back and all that kind of stuff. Of course, he lets Lisa drive the car.
So irresponsible.
So
all of them.
The car drives into the parking lot, and Screech, dressed in, like, full camo garb,
like in a ghillie suit,
pops up with a flash that is so bright. And of course Lisa crashes the car.
It startles her.
Her.
She crashes.
After looking at it for 2 seconds, Slater has decided that it needs a new hose and a new what's-it and thingamajig, and it's going to be $600.
$600? How are they going to come up with that?
I'm glad you asked. Zac's going to do a raffle for... shit, I don't even remember what the raffle was.
I don't even remember what the raffle was for.
Whoever wins the raffle gets $600.
Yeah.
So all 30 students from Bayside High buy tickets to this raffle, and so they rig it to where Screech will win. And Screech is like, oh my gosh, I can finally afford a new jacuzzi for my turtle tank, is what he says.
Yeah.
And they're explaining to him, no, dude, we need that money for
No, we're taking that money from
We're taking the money. And now the stepbrother finds out that, like, this whole thing was a setup. Lisa, you set me up. And Lisa was just a pawn in this whole thing. She just thought that she was getting free MC Hammer tickets.
Yeah.
She didn't know she was the bait in the situation. And she's like, I really liked him.
She has a really bad cry.
A very, very bad cry about how I didn't like him before I went out with him, but now I just really like him, and crying at the max and blah, blah, blah. Tells Jesse she really likes him. Screech and the gang get together at the auto shop to try and put the car back together. But behind everyone's back, Eric convinces the teacher, like, the best way to learn about cars, obviously, is to take the whole thing apart.
Take it apart. This nice, expensive car with just a bent fender.
So Zac and, you know, Slater come back with the parts to fix the car, and Screech is in a tire. He's trapped in a bunch of tires.
Trapped in a tire column.
He doesn't know how to get out of a tire column. And they're like, what is happening? And they're like, we can't put this together in time. There's no way. Jesse tells Eric that Lisa's really upset and she really liked you. And they argue, and she ends up punching him in the face. Because that's how you handle problems.
That's how you handle problems, with violence.
That is. And then she tells him what hurts most. She tells him, I wanted a brother because I thought we would do things together. And you know what? Now I don't want a brother anymore.
No, I don't even want a brother.
And the guys go to tell Belding the truth about his car, and he's like, you guys, you're so silly. And then when they go out to the car, and the CD that he wants to play in his CD player is Bo Knows the Blues.
Bo Knows the
Bo
Blues.
Jackson.
Bo Jackson.
Because, you know, like,
you remember that
football,
campaign.
Bo knows baseball.
Yeah.
He did all the sports things. Even I know that, and I didn't know anything. And all of a sudden, boom, the car is put together. The CD player is in it. The car is perfect.
It's all perfect again?
And they're like, how did this happen? Belding walks away. Ha, 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 you crazy guys. All of a sudden, Eric comes out from under the car, like on that little wheelie thing.
He's like left out there.
I'm like, okay, Creeper, were you under there the whole time? And he's like, and then they all convince him not to leave. Like, don't go back to New York, Eric. We would really miss you. And then you never see Eric ever again.
Yeah, he's like, okay, guys, I'll stay.
Okay, you guys, I'll stay.
Okay, I'll stay. And then you never see him again.
Never see him again.
Never see him again. So for this one was one of the later seasons, season 6, episode 2. Now this is before they went to Hawaii and all that kind of stuff in college, but I think it was, I think it was the last of the regular seasons before they started doing all the special seasons. And this one was whenever it's called Teen Line, and this is what I was telling you about this earlier, is that Elizabeth Berkley and Tiffany Amber Thiessen were actually renegotiating their contract at the time that they were filming this, because the last season was supposed to be the last season, and then after it ended, the network ordered another 10 or 15 episodes to for a new season, and so everybody else was back in time, but they weren't. So they ended up replacing for the episodes that they missed while they were renegotiating their contract.
Right.
They had the character of Tori come in, who was played by Leanna Creel, I think was her name. And the episode starts out like any other day for Zach Morris, where he's ogling the girls as they go by and hanging out with Mr. Belding again. He goes to his office.
Just hangs out with Mr. Belding.
And the whole
For
gang
a
is
man
there.
who did not like that student and vice versa, they hung out all the time.
They hung out all the freaking time. And so they go to hang out in his office and talk about things that they can do for the school and for the community. And Tori, who's sitting there, is saying, hey, at my old school, we would have a teen line for anybody who needed advice or just wanted to talk. So we would have volunteers come in and answer the phone for teens who were, just needed to talk to somebody. And what I don't understand is, why the heck would I want to call any other teenager about my problem?
I'm being bullied. Let me call
the
kids who are bullying me.
Let me call the same kids, because Zach was horrible to everybody. So why would he?
No.
But none of them are very good at this, because I wrote down like their very first call, Lisa fat shames a girl, and it was like, let me give you a number for Overeater Anonymous and stuff, because it was and then Zach ends up hitting on his first call. He's like, you sound sexy, you must have boyfriends. And
Zach was a walking talking boner. I would not put him in charge of talking to anyone.
He was just always horny
about any of their problems.
And so he goes to the Max and he meets Melissa. And Melissa's this cute girl, and she's sitting at a table, and he's like, hey, I'm gonna go play some music on the jukebox. And she's like, cool, I'll go with you. He walks over to the jukebox, but when he turns around, she's in a wheelchair. Catfisher. Well, she never said she wasn't, and he never knew what she looked. She never described herself.
He never asked.
He never asked. So anyway, but he's cool with it, because you know what? Zach Morris secretly has a heart of gold.
Not so much.
Or not so much. So anyway, he's like, I'm cool with it. I was just a little shocked at first, but this is cool. This is part of you. Whatever. Let's go hang out with my friends. And then the first thing he tells his friends come over, and they're all like, it's great to meet you, Melissa. And he's like, yeah, so what? She's in a wheelchair. She can still be a good friend or something like that. And they're like, okay.
She can still talk, you guys.
Yeah. She's like, he's like, yeah, whatever. She's in a wheelchair. Get over
Morris, you ableist piece of shit.
I know, right?
Like, seriously.
And so they're all like, we're over it. It's cool. And so they get to talking and everything, and they talk about the teen line, and she's like, I want to help. And so they're like, cool, come on in. So she goes into the teen line. She rocks it. She tells, like, this one tall, beautiful, leggy blonde comes in and is like, I'm just embarrassed about my height. And then Melissa's telling her, well, you have to love who you are first, and then people will like you. And she's like, you're right, everything's fixed. And then she left.
Solid advice.
Solid advice. And even Zac, he was like, even though she's disabled, she still gives great advice. She's like, what are you talking about?
Like, can you not tell?
And so he asks her out for that night, and they go to the movies. They go to the movies that night, and Zac is complaining about everything for her. There was the disabled parking was taken. Yep. There's no adequate ramps,
seating, all that.
The seating. He complains that she has to pay full price.
She's not even using a chair, you guys.
That's exactly what he's like.
Zach Morris is garbage. He is a disgusting, horrible, deplorable human being.
Yeah, he's horrible. Totally embarrasses her, and he keeps bringing attention to her being in a wheelchair.
And she's not saying anything is the thing. She's not like, oh man, like there was no wheelchair spaces available.
Yeah, she's not because she's like, we found parking, it's all okay.
There's no handicap parking available or whatever. Yeah.
And she's like, they've got a space for me to put my wheelchair.
Right,
you know,
it's fine.
It's fine. And he's just like, no, he's just being the social justice warrior for her and just really coming on strong. They go to the teen line for another day to work in there, and Mr. Belding comes in again and was like, even though it's only been there for like 2 or 3 days, and was like, guys, funding was cut. And of course, funding was cut. Yeah. And they were like, he was like, and the only way you're going to be able to continue this line is if you raise money again.
I think Mr. Belding was maybe just like on the side having some kind of hustle just to make these kids making money.
Right. Yeah. It was because they did all the funding for the school.
What funding do they need for, like, they already have all the phones. So what else do you really need? They weren't paying these kids to do it. It was like voluntary.
I guess they didn't want to pay for the phone lines. Because remember, it's all on landlines too. They're not like, they probably had to have like a phone system put in.
But they're probably all just using the school phones.
Probably.
They already had them there.
I don't know. The funding was cut, Tara. Come on.
All right, Belding.
Crisis. Another crisis. Now, this is the only episode that they have this teen line in. Ever. So, well, Zac, they get together with the gang, and they're like, how can we raise money to keep the teen line open? Because we're really helping people. I haven't really seen them help a whole lot, but they apparently are.
We're answering phones and talking to
people.
They're
answering the phones and talking to people. So, Zac's like, hey, I get it. Or I got a good idea. Let's have a basketball game. But not just any basketball game. Let's do a wheelchair basketball game because, you know, he's got his new girlfriend in the wheelchair.
Right.
So he's like, let's have a wheelchair.
My new side piece is in a wheelchair.
My new side piece, my flavor over here has got...
She's going to get replaced next week, but...
We will never see her again.
This week, I like her.
But we've got about 7 minutes left in this episode, so let's do something.
You know what I was thinking about, too? Like, later on, behind the scenes, obviously, in a different episode... They don't have an episode of, like, Zac dumps the lady in the wheelchair.
No, they don't. Like, what happens to her after this? So, anyway.
She goes to special wheelchair school, obviously.
Poor thing. Poor thing.
Poor thing. Don't worry, you'll meet a better guy.
Yeah, you'll find a winner. But, so they have this wheelchair basketball game. Only Melissa is the only one who needs a wheelchair.
Yes.
Slater and Lisa and Kelly and Zac and Screech, they all come in with wheelchairs and plays them. I got so cracked up watching this. It's
like there's no other kids in their school who have wheelchairs.
They only know one person with a wheelchair.
No kids in their school other than this one girl who has a wheelchair.
They sit in wheelchairs.
Where do they get the wheelchairs? They don't have funding for the phone line, but they're buying wheelchairs.
Yeah, and Screech's is an electric one.
Or just randomly knocking people out of wheelchairs and taking them.
We don't know what we don't know what happened off screen. There was some dark things that happened.
Dark things were happening.
But the important thing is that we keep the teen line open.
Yes.
So they play this basketball game.
People in need. Which is like knocking people out of wheelchairs.
Just clotheslining them and taking off with their chair. But it's a success. It's a success. And so during the game, he's like even trying to protect Melissa, like, whoa, guys.
Whoa,
Are you all right, Melissa? Is everything okay? She's like, I'm fine.
It's like, look, it's Zac gets dumped by wheelchair girl.
Yeah.
Not wheelchair girl.
Well,
dumped.
basically, at the end of it all, she's like, I can't do this. I can't do this anymore.
Like,
so
you're
very obtuse.
You're being a douche.
Yeah, you're being a douche. And so, well, actually, that's not actually where it ends, though. She just blows him off at the game and is like, you're being
too much. Yeah.
You're so uncool. And so that's the worst thing that Zac can hear.
Right.
So again, they have another dance that weekend, and they go to the dance.
You guys, at these
they have a dance like every weekend at this school.
Yeah.
And so
it should just be a dance school. Like
maybe it was. Maybe we misunderstood the whole thing. That's why everybody was always in bands and dancing in their thongs
and singing and
meeting record producers.
It's Lip Sync Dance Academy. What it is. Bayside Lip Sync Dance Academy.
So they go to this dance, and Zac has a heart-to-heart with her, and he's like, I know that I'm coming on strong about all this and stuff, but I really like you, and I'll try to be better, and I'll try to be more understanding. And she's like, that's all I ask. And then they go have a really awkward dance, and then it ended. And then you never hear from Melissa again.
I have this theory that I've worked on since I was younger, that I feel like Zac Morris had a list of every type of girl possible, and he was just checking off the list. Every episode, like, Zac dates a girl on the wrestling team. Zac dates a motorcycle girl, which was Tori. Zac dates a cheerleader. Zac
got around.
Zac dates two friends of his he's known since childhood and never ever dates them again. He did that with both.
He just makes out and dumps them.
Yeah, he was just picking off the ladies back and forth. I'm surprised actually he ended up marrying his high school sweetheart, because he does not strike me as the type of dude who would do that.
No. I wonder how long they stayed married, because I don't think they would have stayed married.
I don't know. I haven't watched any of the new ones. Have you watched any of the new ones?
I haven't watched the new ones, and I haven't watched any of the reboot. There's a reboot on the Peacock network, but I don't.
But they're like on that though, aren't they? Or there's like a different thing.
Well, these are a new group of students at Bayside, and then they have their walk-on parts and stuff like that.
Because I know there's one with them, like the original cast is on there now. Like,
yeah, I think that most of the original cast.
It's like Zac and Kelly's son.
Yeah,
Mac or whatever his name.
Like I said, I haven't seen any of them because, well, for one thing, it's on Peacock, and I subscribe to so many streaming services that I just.
Well, if I ever get it, we'll have to
watch it. Yeah, but so, eventually we'll watch that.
I just want to see if their acting got any better, if they still suck.
Well, I had seen Tiffany Amber Thiessen. She moved on to other things and was better.
I remember it was a big deal for her to be on 90210 because she played Val, the bad girl who smoked weed. She smoked the marijuana cigarettes on that show. Her and Dylan were getting high. She cut her hair into a bob.
I remember that. I remember the bob.
Wearing jeans with holes in it.
That's what you do when you start smoking pot.
Get a bob.
Get a bob.
First things first. Change my haircut. And then now I can smoke the marijuana cigarettes.
Now you're worthy of it.
Yep.
And then Mark Paul Gosselaar, he's had his own a couple of shows since then, and he did well.
He's not bad.
He's not bad. No, he got better. Mario Lopez went off to do his hosting thing, and
all he does is host now.
Yeah.
The only character he can play is Mario Lopez.
Yeah. That's fine. He's doing good at his job.
I remember him being in. Do you remember him being in the Lifetime made for TV movie, The Greg Louganis Story?
I remember that. I do remember that. Greg Louganis. What a scandal that was.
I was telling my boyfriend last night the most believable thing about Mario Lopez is that he is a gay swimmer. That smooth body, not a hair.
Not a hair
his body.
on it. Not a hair on it.
No.
And then I don't know what Elizabeth Berkley's done since Showgirls. I haven't really kept up with her, but she may be doing the new Saved by the Bell for a while.
Well, they're all on there.
All of them are on there. Well, even
there.
Mark Voorhees?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to have to check this out now. Now, Screech obviously isn't.
Screech obviously has passed away. I think they addressed it. I read an article because I was reading articles yesterday about Saved by the Bell, and I think that they addressed it, that like he was on like a Russian space station or something.
Oh, okay.
And he passed away on the space station.
Oh,
no. They talk about it.
Oh. Just make it like somehow sadder.
Yeah, make it sadder. He couldn't have like went to Mars and like married a Martian. Right. I believe that of Screech.
Yeah, that'd be right up his alley.
Yeah. Screech and Scratch and Scroach, you know, like his brothers, and they all Scratch and Scroach.
Scroach.
His brothers.
No, I think that you're getting mixed. You scratch a Scroach.
You scratch your
You don't screech a Scroach.
You don't screech a Scroach. If you screeched it, you've gone too far. Oh, guys, we have talked about a lot of Saved by the Bell.
We have talked a long
My brain
time
is
today.
fried, and all I could, like, I was in the shower this morning singing Friends Forever. Like, I cannot stop singing.
Don't forget the ballad. Did we ever have a chance? Yeah.
Good tune.
That was a good tune, man.
Good tune.
One of these days, we'll break out and sing it. We're starting a band.
We're starting a band
called Terra Attack.
Terra Attack.
Oh.
It's called Hot Fudge Courtney Sunday.
That's my sex tape. Okay. Okay. We'll let all you guys go. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Like, subscribe.
Like, share us with your friends.
Nice comments.
Make
please.
nice comments, please.
We're trying.
We're trying
so hard.
All right,
I feel
guys.
like every one of our episodes ends with like a plea.
Please like me. Please like me.
Please like me. Okay, you guys.
Okay. So yeah, well you can see us on YouTube. You can follow this podcast on Spotify or Google Podcasts.
Google Podcasts is new. That's a new thing that we're up on now. We're still working on iTunes.
We're still working on getting on iTunes, but hopefully we'll get on there soon. We also have a Twitter at B_list_forever with the number 4, not spelled out forever. Boy, I really wish that they hadn't taken all those in the beginning. I got left with scraps, you know, of trying to do internet things 30 years after.
Courtney is the brains behind this, you guys. For real. I would say like she's the brains and I'm just a mouth.
Yeah, well, that's all right because it takes 2 to mouth.
It does. It takes 2 to tango, and we will catch you guys next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Yeah. Have a good one, guys. We love you.
We love you.
Stay safe.
Let me call you sweetheart.